Hi everyone, hope you're having a great day. This video is for your 4.3 homework help. For questions number 1 through 4, simply solve the equation. For question number 1, you'll divide by 3 on both sides. 3 over 3 is 1, so that cancels, and you're left with z equals 18 thirds, which is 6. Question number 2, you'll divide by negative 8 on both sides. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 is 1, so that's 1p. And on the right side, 40 divided by negative 8 is negative 5. Number 3, you'll multiply by negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1, so you're just left with m. Multiply the right side by negative 4. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And number 4, you'll multiply by the reciprocal, which is 6/5. 6 over 6 is 1. 5 over 5 is 1. So you're just left with k. And you'll multiply by 6/5. On the other side, you can cross simplify. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12 over 1. So k is negative 12. For numbers 6 and 7, multiply or divide. You have 8 thirds, and you're going to multiply. So you want to turn this into an improper fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 is 5. So that's negative 5 halves. Now you can cross simplify. 2 goes into 2 once, and it goes into 8 4 times. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and 3 times 1 is 3. So for number 6, you have negative 20 thirds, or negative 6 and 2 thirds. For number 7, we're going to multiply 5 halves times the reciprocal, which is negative 5 fourths. So 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, and 2 times 4 is 8. So negative 25 eighths, or 4 and 3. 8 goes into 25 3 times, with 1 left over, so negative 3 and 1/8. Number 9 says, which fraction is not equivalent to 0.75? First of all, let's write 75 100ths, and then let's simplify that. We could divide by 25 over 25, and that's 3/4. Okay, so D is 3/4, so that one is equivalent. If we take 3/4 times 3 over 3, that's 9/12, so that one is equivalent. And if we take 3/4 times 5 over 5, we get 15/20, so that one is equivalent. To prove that C is not equivalent, take 3/4 times 2 over 2, and you get 6/8. We need 6/9. So C is not equivalent. For numbers 12 through 21, solve the equation and check your solution. So starting with number 12, we'll take away 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 is nothing, so we're left with 2v. And 3 minus 7 is negative 4. So divide both sides by 2. 2 over 2 is 1. So we have just 1v. And then negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. For number 16, we'll take away 16.2. from both sides. That leaves us with 8n. And 1.6 minus 16.2, we know is going to be negative because negative 16.2 is bigger. So what we need to do is then just find the difference between 16.2 and 1.6. Bring our decimal point down. And we get 14.6. So negative 14.6. And now we have to get the n by itself, isolate the variable. So n is left on the left side. And we have 14.6 divided by 8. 8 goes into 14 once. 8 goes into 66. 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. We bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. And then we would have 40 left over. Or we'd have 4. Bring down a 0. So 40 and 8 goes into 45 times. So we get 1.825. And negative divided by a positive is negative. So for our last one, we'll take away 10.35 from both sides. And we're left with 2.3h. And over here we have negative 19.55. So we'll divide both sides by 2.3. And we're just left with h. And then we have 19.55, which is negative, divided by 2.3, which is positive. So negative divided by a positive is a negative. And we have to move the decimals. 195.5, bring that decimal point up. All right, so 23 then goes into 195, 8 times, and 23 times 8. Is 184. And bring down the 5. And then 23 goes into 115, 5 times. 23 times 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 more is 11. So there's no remainder. So h is negative 8.5. Now for 26 through 30, solve the equations, but now we have fractions. So we are going to add 1/3 to both sides. Minus 1/3 and plus 1/3 cancel out, so we're left with 3/5 g. And then over on the right side, we have negative 10/3 plus 1/3, so that's going to be negative 9/3. And to get g by itself, we'll multiply by the reciprocal. 5 over 5 is 1. 3 over 3 is 1, so we're just left with that g. And now the other side must be multiplied by the same thing, 5 over 3. So we get negative 45/9, or g equals negative 5. For 28, we have to distribute first. So we'll distribute the negative 1/3 times 4. So do negative 1/3 times 4 over 1. That's going to be negative 4/3. Plus negative 1/3 z equals negative 5/6. So from here, we are going to have to find common denominators. So this will be 8/6 or negative 8/6 plus negative 1/3 z equals negative 5/6. And now we can solve. We'll add 8/6 to both sides. And we'll end up with negative 1/3 z. And negative 5/6 plus 8/6. Oh, let me rewrite this. Negative 1/3 z equals 3/6. And now we multiply by the reciprocal. Negative 3 divided by 3, the 1 and negative 1, those cancel. And we'll multiply by negative 3 over 1 on this side. And end up with z equals negative 9/6. And then to simplify that, we would say negative 3/2. And if you wrote it as a mix, that would be negative 1.5. For 30, we'll have to distribute the fraction as well. So that's going to be negative 2/3 x. And then we'll distribute and we'll multiply negative 2/3 times 3/5. So that's going to be negative 6/15. Or you may have cross-simplified right away, and that's negative 2/5. So minus 2/5, and that equals 1/2. So we know we're going to have to add 2/5 to both sides. We'll need a common denominator, and our common denominator will be 10. So we have 5/10. On the left side, 2/5 would be 4/10. And so we have negative 2/3 x minus 4/10. So then we'll solve by adding 4/10 to each side. Negative 4/10 and positive 4/10, those cancel. So we have negative 2/3 x equals, let's see, 5 plus 4 equals 9/10. And now multiply the 3 and the 3 cancel, the negative 2 and the negative 2 cancel. So we'll multiply this side by 3 over negative 2. 9 times 3 is 27 over negative 20. So we'll say that this one is negative 1 7/20. And then for our last question, number 37, modeling real life. You have $9.25. How many games can you bowl if you rent bowling shoes? Right, so we have $9.25. Bowling is $2.25 per game, plus you have to buy bowling shoes, which are $2.50. So we'll justify our answer by showing our work. So here we draw our line in, we isolate our variable, and we subtract 250 from both sides. Plus 250 and minus 250 cancel, so we have 2.25 g. And then on this side, oh, I don't need to do that quite yet. 5 minus 0 is 5. Now I have to borrow. 12 minus 5 is 7. 8 minus 2 is 6, so 675. And then 2.25 g, that means multiply, so the opposite is divide by 2.25. So we'll do that to both sides. 2.25 divided by 2.25 is 1, so we just write our 1g. And then 675 divided by 225 is 3. So g equals 3 games.